Hello out there. Many thanks for joining us on yet another edition of our personality program on the People's Tele Ogtv. It is Hot Seat. It is a program where we have distinguished Nigerians joining us perhaps for about 1 hour, sharing their experiences and learning one or two things from them. And today is not an exception because, like we always do, we bring you quality guests. And today our guest is Mr. Alistair Soyode. Mr. Soyode, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
You are most welcome to Hot Seats.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Alistair Soyode is the founder and CEO of First Ethnic and Black Satellite TV channel in Europe. Alistair was also a former chairman of Nigeria's Professionals Umbrella, NIDE, which is Nigerians in Diaspora organization based in Europe. Presently, a fellow of Nigerian Institute of Local Government and Public Administration. He is a coach, mentor, and entrepreneur and global brand for Nigeria. Our guest today has met many global leaders, prime ministers, also including the Queen of England and so many other personalities around the world. Sometimes CNN featured him as an icon of Nigeria, calling him a farmer to C.E.O. as hope for Nigeria when we celebrated Golden Jubilee of this great country called Nigeria. He's a leader and he leads other organizations and also promotes Nigeria as a nation wherever he finds himself. Our guest on the program once more, Alistair Soyode. Once again, you are most welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, I am not alone on the program. Shino is also in the house, and together in the next couple of minutes, we shall have this distinguished Nigerian actually carrying the green, white, green flag up there in Europe. Shino, you are welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kayode. It's nice to be here. And how are you, Alistair Soyode?
I'm very good.
It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, let's hit the ground drawing. You are CEO, founder of a broadcast outfit in Europe, and from your profile, definitely you're doing well. Now, let's check out your experience from your profile, First Ethnic and Black Satellite TV, and you are there in the white man country. What has been your experience like?
Well, the experience, thank you very much once again to be here. The experience really is not something that one can sit down to narrate. But if you're asking how did I get there, which you have mentioned as well, is to look at the point that Nigeria as a nation before that time, everything that you hear about Nigeria is more negative, which really hasn't changed as much in the sense of what's actually happening locally at the national level. But at that time, there's no any solution, there's no windows to portray Nigerians as good people. And so I'm more into sport in the early days, and then I thought, well, there is definitely an avenue that we can promote, that Nigeria is really not as bad as people think that Nigeria is. So my thinking and research is basically to produce a program about Nigerians who live in England, and then bring it home for Nigerian TV station to broadcast it to show that at least there are definitely good people doing wonderful things that are Nigerians. So in my research and investigation to find a company that can do or that can partner me, I couldn't find any. Now, I'm not coming from the broadcasting background. I study no media. I don't know anything about cameras and all that kind of thing. It's just basically that I have the idea, and I believe that Nigeria deserves a better position in the Global Committee of Nations. So from there, then the joy of doing that investigation, doing that research, became something that, well, since there isn't any, maybe I can put a production company together that can do the production, and likewise I can bring it home. And from the thought of the production, then it became, well, maybe actually I can launch a TV station. Okay. And that's how the end product became a TV channel. And then, of course, as rightly mentioned, there was an ethnic black-based United Kingdom TV station or satellite channel. And then Ben Television became the first to occupy that position.
And by the time you came on board with Ben Television, what was the response like, particularly from those who are not actually black? Because your focus there from being ethnic black, and you have white in the majority. What was the response?
Well, I guess if people will always think about a concept of setting up a business, people will think that it's not going to happen. Because the capital needed is you're running into millions, and somebody who's now saying that he wants to launch a TV station has never really been on television as such. Neither did he study mass communication or media, and he's just basically saying, wow, I think we can do this. So the belief wasn't there. But at least when it now emerged that indeed we do have a TV station, then the concept is it opened a window completely to actually more mainstream non-black people to know about the black thing, the black issue, the black content, the black lifestyle, and everything. And for the Africans, especially the Nigerians, it's like, wow, finally there is something about Nigeria that they can monitor, and they begin to associate what we're talking about on the channel. So in true sense, that's where the channel has gone through a lot of transformation in terms of content, maybe just representing variety of nationals, from Asian community to Chinese community, everything, because there wasn't a platform at that time. Even the Asian channels only start emerging now. When we started, there wasn't, you can pick maybe one or two that is fully segmented to that community. But with our own platform, we basically welcome the Chinese, we welcome the Indian, the Bengali, the Pakistani, the Nigerians, Kenyan, everything was everywhere on Ben Television. So sadly, of course, later on as well, most of these people that used to bring program, they end up launching their own channel, which then now you have a multiple Asian channel, the Chinese channel, the African channels as well, to the point that you can associate a country with a TV station. But right now, again, with in terms of longevity, which has been there, that we are pushing, holding tight, not really comfortable, but at least within even the big station that came, some of them has come and gone off air, coming back again. But we're grateful to God that with our tenacity, God's favor and grace, that we have never been to the state that somebody can say we've been switched off. And so it is very challenging. And again, you represent Nigeria, where you believe that almost everything should have a compensation, or people should be able to support what you're doing. That is another big issue that we really have not been able to explore that angle, or people who are in government to see what we're doing and say, we appreciate, and this is what we think we can do for you. So it brought joy to millions in UK and in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you of the initial challenges that you had to undergo when you needed to start this. And up till now, I'm sure the challenges haven't gone away 100%. Sure. Or are they?
No, definitely you cannot say so at all. In the sense that when we started, we have people who believe in what we're doing. We have the likes of Dr. Bamanga Chukur, who then was an African Business Roundtable chairman, and he absolutely believed in almost everything that Africans do should be supported. So he saw the vision of what we're trying to do in the early days and saying, yes, guys, I think I can support what you guys are doing. So we're absolutely grateful to people like that, especially in the early stages when we started. Now, with the bigger picture as well, is looking at saying, well, we represent Africa, we represent Nigeria, which is, Nigeria really as a nation is a hard product to sell. It is very hard. But so you have to now try to mold the information you're trying to bring, and you're trying to convince people of what you're trying to narrate and provide for them on their platform. So we have been struggling. We are still struggling in the sense that, as I say, if you look at the likes of the BBC, the mainstream platform in Europe, they get government support. The likes of BBC generate billions on a yearly basis from TV license, which goes towards all their production. Now, when you look at what Ben Television is actually doing, is promoting Nigeria and the black community in Europe. So even on a normal circumstances, the government should look at it and say, well, these guys actually are a window of selling Nigeria in terms of investment, in terms of tourism, yet they have not been able to do that. Yet they haven't been able to come forth and say, guys, this is it. How much does it cost to run a TV station? How much does it cost for one person to take away money in Nigeria?
But at least a number of times I've seen a number of state governments feature on your network repeatedly, sustainably. Does it suggest you were running the charity each of the times those state governments came on your program?
Technically, in any business, you are there to sell a product. Now, I classify if you really want to buy my pen and you pay me the price of my pen, is a business. That is not logically the support. Yeah? Now, I will look at all the people who now say, absolutely, we believe in what you're doing. You're representing Nigeria. Now, if somebody just said, I have a headache, and you told me you have Fensic or paracetamol in your pocket, and I told you that I have a headache, I expect you to be generous, Mr. Additional, to say, I got Fensic, have it. Not now I'm speaking to my other guy saying, oh, he said, why didn't you turn up yesterday? And I said, I got a headache. And you didn't say anything. Now, if you understand what I'm saying, so if you offer me when you know my situation, that is then basically supporting me, if you understand.
Very well.
So that is not happening. Now, as I said, sellers come, buyers buy. And that's the situation. So right now, yes, there might be some states that are featured. Some states that in true sense have not even paid us. That is the truth. There are many states that haven't paid us. And we're grateful for those who do. But if it is a no business, you don't need to thank somebody for buying your product. You need to provide good customer services for them to buy your product, and I appreciate that they do. So
now, I want us to talk about this situation. How have you been able to stay afloat against the backdrop of the peculiarity of the political environment of Nigeria? Is that the possibility, or had there been the possibility of one political party thinking that Alistair Soyode and Ben TV are tilted the more on governments from this party, from that party, and so on and so forth? Almost everything that operates in the Nigerian environment, local media environment, is not in any way different. It's always been seen from that perspective. Have you also found yourself in such way?
So many times. Definitely, so many times. The two biggest parties that you have in Nigeria is the PDP and the APC, at least for now. Now, technically, some of them might feel that we're leaning towards another party, especially when they come and they don't want to pay you for the service you're providing. Then they say, oh, we thought you're with them, because if you're with them, that means they've been backing you. And then when you move to the other one, he will tell you something. But the truth of the matter is there's no party that can honestly, in Nigeria today, tell us that we have written a check for you based on our party. None. So, none. And we want to be independent, right? We want to be free. We want to be able to say what we feel is happening, even though we don't really share the story of the negative perception and negative challenges that Nigeria is going presently or before then. But as a media outfit, and which personally for me, I absolutely believe that in order for Nigeria to change, the media industry needs to change. If the media industry change, then Nigeria will change, and then we can have the Nigeria that we want Nigeria to be. Because when somebody is committing a crime and you're not saying it, and you're not allowing people to know that he's committing a crime, then it's not good. If then somebody commit a crime and now because you want to report him, he's from the Southwest, and somebody say, why are you reporting the Southwest person? Because you're from the Southwest. Now, will you allow the Southwest person to be killing for the sake that he's from the Southwest? When does it reach your own destination? When he comes to Ogun State, Abeokuta, and then kill somebody, and then again what? So really and truly for me, personally, I believe the media industry needs to do a lot, and that's why for us, we try to maintain our neutrality, our independency, but when business comes, you need to sell a product to who is able to buy. If the other party has 100 convention and they pay 100 times, you sell it. If the other party only have 10, that's your value, then you sell it. We don't treat anybody, and personally for me and my team, I think we feel free to move around because we can honestly testify and say, if you're telling us that you're giving us this, then where? Tell us what you gave us.
Okay. Now, let's look at some issues relating to day-to-day running of broadcast outfits. Perhaps we look at your own experience there and what we have here. Now, generally around here, it's like running a broadcast outfit is on the high side in terms of financial commitment. And now you are the CEO founder. That means you own the place. Day-to-day running, with all this that you have just told us, when even some people that are supposed to pay for the services that have not paid and all of that, how do you actually strike the balance and still be on air, particularly where you are running the place? That's a place where most of the government expected incomes are not joked with, like taxes and all of that. You've just got to do it. So how have you been actually coping with that? Is it expensive?
It is very expensive. It's definitely expensive. It's not cheap. If you if you employ somebody and you agree, for example, the minimum wages is about £7 to £8 per hour, you need to pay that £8 per hour. There's no two way about it. If you don't pay, you can be sued immediately, and that's big consequences. So really and truly, what do? I probably do more work, more role than an ordinary CEO, because maybe I don't have the capacity to employ as many people that would do almost everything or all the things that is required. So I'm constantly hands-on. If there's no camera person behind the camera, I will go, because now I know how to operate the camera. And there's no, people might see me in many places and say, oh, why are you doing that? Excuse me, and I use the analogy as saying, if you're a doctor and something is happening to a patient or somebody somewhere, will you not treat the person? Now, are you not a doctor? So what's the difference? I am known by name, by face, because of this industry. So I'm not going to shy away and say, right now, there's no camera person, I can't do the camera. I would do it so long I can manage and I can present if there's no presenter. And this is what makes me, this is my job. So I don't shy away from it. So the challenges are there. And in terms of capital, income, then you just kind of narrow down what you can do, what you can chew. As we're here in town, we're running everywhere trying to find the extra job, the extra services. If you see me somewhere, say, oh, what are you doing there? I'm doing what you're doing there. I'm looking for business. I don't have a bank money in our business, so we have to run. Whatever we get now, we calculate how do we keep it so that we have another 3 months in advance before the time. Right? And I've seen people who have come in with a big money into the industry, and somehow, somewhere, they went off air before coming back. They went off there coming back. So you're not excited. It's not exciting for me to see that happening, because when a black TV goes off air, it's more pressure on us, especially the other people say, well, when are they going off? And they haven't, right? So we are grateful that the small thing we have, we're managing ourselves, tidying up. You can tell us something happened. We tell you, well, if we have the money, don't you know we'll fix it? But we try not to create too much havoc in our system. And almost everybody do understand that.
Okay. Will I be safe to say that perhaps you run your television station with purely black people?
Probably 70%, 75% are blacks.
Okay. If you have a scenario like that, wouldn't there be occasions that some of them will possibly go out and get this racist treatment and all of that?
You're bound to get a racist treatment, racist remarks some places. Yes, it's bound to happen. What I try to do is, because I coach and I mentor, and I tell you that even in Nigeria, I get attacked verbally for a different reason. For example, Nigeria right now is more racist, if you're using the word, negative word, it's more racist than England. Why? If you're not from the south, you might not get a job. If you're not from the east, now they have been deported back to the eastern state. What's the difference? The people in the northern part cannot joyfully come to the south. What's the difference? Then now you're talking about, it's not my ethnicity, it's my zone. What's the difference? It's all the same. So it's, in fact, we practice worse than the racist remark that I can ever hear in England.
Well, that's another a chapter of perhaps this interaction this afternoon, but we won't really go into that one for now. Let's see how much of the broadcast environment that we explore before we... You said what actually motivated you into this initially was to really give the perspective of Africa to Europe. So you were coming here, do some kind of research, go back there and let them see. Now you have the platform to do both. Now you can do research work there and here.
Bring it up.
And like you said, Nigeria hard sell, but is the same thing applying to other African countries?
Well, yes, you can say so, but really, you know, you feel the pain of a pinch where you really have interest in. If you're not interested in sport, you will not watch Super Eagles play. And somebody call you, oh, they lost, they won. It doesn't really matter. So for us, Nigeria is our main focus. But at least when we deal with other African countries, they are more upfront than Nigeria. Okay, if they tell you this is it, that is it. In Nigeria here, somebody sincerely know that what you aim and what you want to do is for the progress of the nation and that people, and he will yet deny you the right to progress that community. So it's even more it's a bad situation. When it's not my deal, it's not going to happen. That is the thing that I know my team have experienced as Nigerians. So if you want to do deal, it will happen. If you're not going to do deal, and the truth of the matter is people are hungry, let me give them food, but because he's not the one to distribute the food, then he will allow other people to starve.
Okay. But some couple of years ago, this hard sell theory is perhaps, or should I say was, because we were running military system. But for the past 16, 17 years now, it's been a democracy. Whichever way anyone to look at it, we have been having elections, new government. Okay. Now, I should think that with that in place, democracy in place, there should have been a new thinking about Nigeria and perhaps extending to some other African countries. And yet we're still having this hard sell. Is that as a result of other things other than the fact that we have democracy?
Well, I think democracy is good in any part of the world, but I guess there's some situation that democracy is not good as well. The truth of the matter, democracy is about freedom for the people, for the people are able to vote who they want. In today's 2014 Nigeria, really, is that true? Now, military has come and gone. Probably at that time, the military were there are much more younger, but I can guarantee myself that it wasn't like this. So time has changed. Now, we want to blame everything on somebody. And I said, if you have a house and your roof is leaking, first you know the cause. Maybe one of the wood fell out, is rain, somebody put something through the roof. Will you leave the roof to continue to leak? I don't think you will. You will fix it. And then if I put it here, or we elect you there to fix, because when you're coming, you already know the rot in our nation. And you promise in our state that this is the rot. I'm coming to fix it, or I'm coming to do better than the previous person. So whatever you want to do, don't give me excuse about the past. Tell me my future. Tell me what you have to make things better for me. So yes, democracy, we're having it. And I look definitely forward to that. Democracy should actually become the icing or the #1 democracy on the African continent. Just like we rebase our economy and now say Nigeria is #1. Now, if you rebase political democrats in Africa, what position would Nigeria occupy?
At least you are sustained for the last 15 years.
Sustainability can have its own consequences.
Yeah, I agree with you. But we are still running democracy.
You both laugh.
Now, let's take a look at media practice with respect to societal relevance. Here in Nigeria, we are said to be members of the 4th estate of the realm, placed in the 4th schedule of the Constitution. You are from the developed economy, where almost everything is near perfection. Does it suggest also that media practitioners in your own world enjoy the kind of support, encouragement, and societal respect that is expected of the job, as against what we have here?
100%. Every journalist, technically, is hold to the highest esteem. That whatever that person wrote is something that you're not going to query. Which means, if he wrote A to Z, and this is what happened, you're bound to trust that 99% is absolutely correct. Because first, if it is wrong, his organization will be sued. And when we talk about damages, they are real. And they are immediate. On the other way here, you can claim according to the sources, according to anonymous who doesn't want to be identified, you push the story out, you create the story, you can kill the story. And again, we can look at the welfare system of the people who work in the industry, or all industries in Europe, that whatever you agree, you're bound to deliver. While the other is here is different as well, where I now know that when people go out, you must give them something logistically in order for them to go back. So really, they're not actually dependent on the welfare from their corporate organization, but rather from welfare from where they have attended to cover events. So there's a massive difference that Here you go out. The more you go out, the more you can hopefully generate income. A journalist, for me, actually, I've noticed that journalists are even more powerful than myself in Nigeria sometimes because they write a story. Yeah, I can see a governor, a minister sitting down with a correspondent, a journalist. He giving him more time, and here in this corner, because I'm just quiet, I don't do all that. And they have more opportunity, they make more money than I do.
But you are the chief executive in your own right. So
in
chief
my own
executives
right,
don't
yes.
actually bother themselves. So you shouldn't bother
So
yourself.
maybe that's why. So but if I'm looking for money, then I'd rather become a journalist in Nigeria who has a big name.
Now let me ask you this, Mr. Alistair. In all of the years of journalism at the level of practice so far, have there been instances where you felt the need to be more committed to the society by unearthing certain things that black minority people
All the time.
were doing in the UK?
All the time.
Do you have such instances?
All the time. Every time. Give a typical example. As I said, if a black person commit a crime, do we now leave it because we're black? And then when we now try to investigate further, somebody will say, oh, come on, guys, you're a black TV station. Why are you showing the story? You should just cover it up, protect your own. But then what I'm not saying is, if we're only in Nigeria, and I'm a broadcaster in Nigeria, will I then cover it in Nigeria? The answer would be no, I hope, because we need to share. We need to talk about things that are wrong in the system. So if people have issue with our embassies, now, do you now write the story, carry the story? In fact, we are excused up to late last days that we don't do news. So we don't really need to do any. We don't need to touch. And we said that almost every online medium that has a story about Nigeria that they publish, most of them are correct. Then you say, oh, why are they publishing that story? Can't they see they're damaging the Nigerian integrity? They're damaging Nigerian brand. But excuse me, if a member of the legislature commit a crime, took away money that doesn't belong to him, block other people from succeeding, why should that not become a story? If there are things wrong in Nigeria, why shouldn't be a story? Why should you tell me now, don't write about bad stories about Nigeria? Are they bad story? Are they true story or bad story? Bad story is a story that you create just to damage somebody's reputation. But as I said, if somebody commit a crime, be it DG, PAMSEC, whatever it is, publish the story because you commit the crime.
And damn the consequence.
And damn the consequence, period.
Let's talk about diaspora voting. There has been agitation and advocacy for that to be included in the Electoral Act in Nigeria, and possibly a position created for such in the Constitution of the Federal Republic. Over the years that this advocacy has been on, there seems not to be a headway. Does this suggest that we are not having enough of effort being mustered at the diaspora level to be able to push for this back home in Nigeria, or people that are directly involved are working at cross purposes?
Thanks. That to me is actually always our passion for the Nigerians in diaspora, as many organizations and umbrella, to see the inclusion of Nigerians outside the country allowed to vote in the subsequent election. Our President, His Excellency, has noted before, during his campaign and visiting around the world, that indeed Nigerians outside the country would be allowed, should be allowed to vote. Now, there is a diaspora committee in the House of, in the National Assembly, led by Honorable Abike Dabiri, who has been likewise making presentation on behalf of Nigerians. During the national conference, I personally traveled around, went to Sokoto and other places, having during the conference sitting, to make a presentation, at least for them to include the diaspora during the national conference, which we're grateful they did. They added about 8 of us, or 8 of them from the diaspora to be part of that. Now, the truth of the matter is all the African countries are already allowing the diaspora members to vote. Now, we said Nigeria is the #1. Nigeria is the leader. Nigeria is this. So now we're all talking about the progress, the positive side of us Nigerians. Yet, the smallest thing we cannot do. And people will argue to say, oh, I think the best thing, because we cannot even count the vote in Nigeria, how can we count the vote about Nigerians outside the country? I say simple. We have international observers coming home to monitor election. Our embassies outside Nigeria should and could be the polling center. You go to the embassy, you can start with 10 embassies of Nigeria, the big embassies in the United Kingdom, UK, USA, Germany, Canada, Brazil, and others Kenya, South Africa, and say, well, let's start with this. You go there, there is 80% likelihood that our votes, when we cast them abroad, we get to Nigeria, Abuja head office before many other votes from Nigeria would get to Abuja's counting center. And you can use our passport. Our Nigerian passport should be on identification. In fact, we, ILED, register a domain and an application to allow Nigerians to begin to even register so that by the time you say go, you will see it. It's a Nigerians in diaspora electoralregister.com, something like that, that we put. We spend money to do that.
And what was the outcome of that? The government looked sideways?
You know, there is two things to consider. First, you need to consider INEC. At the time we started the project, we have Professor Maurice Iwu as the chairman.
As far back as then.
Indeed. At that time, we already have the green light and discussion with him. So he's given the green light, and we started the project. And the site, the application is still online. If you Google it, you'll find it. People are still registering right now as I'm speaking with you. People are still registering who are in the diaspora, who just come across data registration for Nigerians. They're still registering. But
didn't your representative at the confab push that as a case?
Yes. Actually, I will even say some of them don't even know why they were there. Okay? That's the Nigerian politics. But at least between us to make a presentation to INEC, chair in the House, Abike Dabri, these people know. They push it. They're trying. And it's a matter of changing one line, section 72B, I believe. Just remove the, no, just add B, B-E. The Nigerians in the diaspora should be able to vote rather than should not. Or cool. Just put the B, B-E. Yet, the Constitution has gone through a lot of amendment. All true, but they're just afraid that maybe if you vote, there could be a section of people from Nigeria who are more outside the country, meaning then they will vote for their man. You see that thing we're talking about racism, remark, ethnicity, and all that kind of thing? When do we get there?
Even this issue of e-voting, like for those who will be outside the country will do, when you look at sometimes ago, even in the US, they had issues with e-voting because some people were trying to manipulate.
That's
and
correct.
Looking at the background of Nigerian politicians, that even those ones that we can see physically, they still manipulate.
That's correct.
Perhaps the fear is about the manipulation of what will be coming from outside the country.
Which is fair enough, but hey, when you don't try and you didn't give it a go, when does the fear become defeated? At the end of the day, the election in Nigeria as well, since 1999, he keeps saying it's getting better. It's improving. The electorate are getting wiser. So 2015 will be a big thing in Nigeria, in the context that here are the two people who want to go for it. Who is it going to be? Are the electorate clever? Are they wiser? Yes, we believe so. Now, yet you can see a party spending definitely billions. Another party, it's not yet, because they're saying they're following due. Then you can see another party saying, this is what we're doing, we're publishing this. In fact, there's a party that they have an unelected chairman in the party, but they are conducting election. Now, how then do you reconcile such thing? You are not elected, you're not holding the seat temporarily. What is the constitution of that party? What's their manifesto? Well, actually, what's the constitution of that party? Unelected having an election for elected men. There's a lot of things, basically.
Oh, okay. Before we leave issues relating to elections, let's look at this 2015 and from the perspective of someone in the diaspora, and you are also in the media. What kind of opinion are you having? What kind of views are people expressing, perhaps about the 2015 outside this country?
Well, I think you have to be optimistic first,
okay,
and then you look at the reality in the nation.
All right.
What are the reality? The reality right now, the issue of insecurity. The reality is that some part of the nation is being taken over by another group. The reality is people have collected taxpayers' money, and yet they cannot verify, quantify, or show what they have done with that money. The reality is that a lot of people have been indicted for many activities that are criminal, yet they're the people that you're still celebrating in the country. So, do you, in your own right, want to continue as a citizen of Nigeria uncertain? By 6 p.m. in the country today, you cannot joyfully say you're traveling somewhere. People will say, where are you going? Do you have to go at that hour? That is the situation. Back in the days when our parents were alive, mine especially, they want us to travel at night. So which means we grow up in the northern part of Nigeria, you leave the north at night, you get to Lagos in the morning. That is because there's peace. So go. Right now, you can, from here to Ibadan, 6, 7 p.m., be careful. So is that Nigeria? Is that, I didn't grow up in that Nigeria, in this Nigeria, right? I grew up in the Nigeria as I was giving you example. So are we saying things are getting better? Now, if we look at it as well, then we're talking about, yes, we have been rebased. The rebase is great news because we are now #1 economy on the African continent. But is it because of the government and power? Or because you were buying more movies? I'm producing more content. Mr. K is doing more production. Has nothing to do with the government policy, because at the end of the day, right now, I know there are more people who are unemployed. There are more people who are not going to school. We need to ask a lot of questions. So there's a massive difference.
Now, I want us to talk about the digital cutover date for 2015. Nigeria has kept shifting the polls. By 2015, the reality will stare us in the face. Where do we go? Where do we stand? Is there any possibility of leveraging on competencies and opportunities of an organization like yours for local media environments here?
Well, I guess so. Constantly for us, I think we're trying to always find a way to synergize with media outfit in Nigeria by sharing best practice, by sharing maybe something that we know how to do best, and by looking at what you have at the national level or in Nigeria that need international exposure. So our collaboration basically is, for us, is the representation of Nigeria as a nation. What can we do to enhance the brand? How can we sell our leaders? How can we, if the opportunity permits us, how can we share what we have been hearing from other people in the diaspora and presenting our case to our leaders? It could be the governors, and when we meet them, we say, oh, this is what people say about your state. Is there something that we can do to help? Not necessarily that you need to advertise with us or put your content on our channel. No. What can we do? If it is the president, what can we do? We spoke to people around the president constantly. Then, but there's a difference that you're actually making a presentation that they want to take it on board, or they don't care. And most of the time, I would say there are some situations that they just don't care, because we are selling Nigeria, we're representing Nigerians, and we want to sell Nigeria more. So if you can't give me the information that will allow me to sell, I cannot force it out. But what I know is we are always there, because some of the people that are mentors are passionate, committed Nigerians who it has nothing to do with money to them. It's just their life that they're dedicated to make Nigeria great. So we see that. And then, of course, likewise for us, we want Nigeria to be great. So anything that makes Nigeria great is our own benefit, not the destruction of Nigeria. So we will cry for that, because we don't, personally, I don't want that to happen.
Okay. Now, one of the things you do is mentorship. I don't know whether you do that more in the UK or you do it in Nigeria or just around the globe. But when you look around us these days, we find some younger elements that more like being aggressive, always tilting towards crimes and all of that. At what point, okay, let me use Nigeria now. At what point did we really get it wrong? And what do you think we can do, perhaps, if we agree that we have this social drift? What do we do to actually curtail the situation?
You know, a lot of people want to be like President Goodluck Jonathan for good reason, because he's the president.
Not because he's a PhD holder.
Not necessarily because he's the president.
Okay.
And he directs the affairs of the nation. Other people want to be like a governor, okay, because he directs the affairs of a state. But now, if you're interested in the broadcasting industry, which you are, you'll find those who are there that you can learn from them. Now, if Nigerian youth watch telly, what do they see on telly? if they listen to the radio, what kind of stories do they hear? Your children, if you are a father, you want them to emulate you, especially if you're a good person at home, at work, in the community. If you're not as good as you want, deep down you'll be praying for them to do better.
Okay.
That's life. So if our youth, including myself, traffic light working correctly, yet somebody just come and bullied and pushed me off the road, broke the light, drove off, nothing happened to him. In fact, he broke the light with those who were supposed to protect the light. Yeah? So I will be learning that way. In fact, in Truson, sometimes I've driven, and I got confused when I got to traffic light. Do I stop? Well, there's red light. Do I stop? So I stop. Then the guys behind me are hooting. Get off because the road is free in front of you. Can't you see? Can't you see? So you get confused. Yeah? These are the things. So in order for you really to produce good youth, you need to show them something good. And for those who accidentally commit crime, you need to show them that there is punishment. There's a lot of cases in court for many years. Nothing happened. So it will not change unless and until when the law of the land becomes very effective. Nothing will change. You'll be deceiving yourself because when you beat somebody on the road, nothing happened. You read, nothing happened. Then how do you expect me, growing up likewise, will not try to do the same?
Now let's talk about Ben TV and their Rise Awards. Of course, stories are flying everywhere of people who confer awards on individuals, on organizations, on governments. I'm tempted to believe yours will be different from theirs, or yours may be different from the bandwagon of awards that we'll have in Nigeria, outside of Nigeria, about Nigeria, and about somewhere else. Does this suggest that yours, in a way, is not like every other award that seems to have flooded the Nigerian environment? I give you an award, I rub your back, you rub my back. What informed yours in the first instance? What is the quality of your awards?
Well, thank you. The quality of our award is definitely totally and completely different from other people's award. We have been in the industry for a long time, more than 10 years as a broadcasters. And in our early days, early years, we were not doing any award. We don't do anything. We just concentrate and focus on broadcasting. But later on, of course, in trying to improve and increase the level of Nigerians outside the country who are doing wonderful things, we then decided to say, actually, based on the national anthem, that was during the late era before he passed away. When he came to London and we were just going through this thing, I thought, well, actually, what is the word of the Nigerian national anthem? The first word says, arise, arise, arise. And I thought, well, actually, you cannot change anything if you refuse to get up. So the first word really says, get up, arise, early in the morning, rise. If you don't, nothing change. So and I thought, okay, well, how many Nigerians actually know the national anthem? We're saying in the United States that people absolutely believe in their national flag and their national anthem, that you can't throw their flag on the ground and step on it. That would be ballistic. So what is so unique about Nigeria as a nation? My national anthem, arise, O compatriot, Nigeria, call obey, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, all that. How many Nigerians actually can say the national anthem? Honestly, even go to the National Assembly. If you cannot say the national anthem, you shouldn't be a member of the National Assembly. Right? Because this is the only thing that is Nigeria that is not related to ethnicity, religion, creed, or anything. So, and that is then I now push it forward and I said, okay, do you have a national anthem in Yoruba?
Yeah, it has been translated, but it's not very popular.
Well, so, but that means you didn't say it.
Yeah, I don't think I even...
Right, so the population of Ogun State, our gateway state, the wonderful state, because without going through gateway, you can't go into Nigeria. Population almost 5-6 million. How many people?
Up to 7 million now.
Right, because we had the influence of Lagos State who don't have land, they're coming into here. How many people really out of our 7 million can say the national anthem? To be honest, only somebody who can speak English. So which means all our other people who cannot speak English will never know what the national anthem is. They don't know what the forefathers went through. So we commission ourselves to translate it into Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, right? And not redistribute it. Now, I showed it to some of the people in the presidency. In fact, they didn't know that it can be said in Hausa. And I said, well, here it is. Read it and 99% of the translation was correct. Now I said, okay, then we wanted to make it as a project to say, teach all our school children Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, and let it be mentioned on the radio so that the villager who is out there can hear the national anthem and begin to appreciate Nigeria. As a project we started, no backing. I can use my money, if I have that much, to continue to do that. But at least we know we translate, we publish. And that's what then led to the Arise as well.
Okay.
So our Arise is based on the Nigerian national anthem, recognizing wonderful Nigerians who have done wonderful things outside the country. So we celebrate them. And then later on we then say, okay, actually in order for us to appreciate our leaders as well, who have done something. Now, will you tell me Ogun State is not the gateway state in Nigeria? Will you tell me that Ogun State is not the #1 economy state in Nigeria that receives Nigeria Arise? If your answer is it's not, then I will agree that our award is kind of almost the same with others. But Ogun State is the most industrial state in Nigeria today. It's the #1 economy. The president says so as well. Other people say so. The World Bank says so. So for that reason, in that category, we celebrate the achievement of what's happening in Ogun State. The same thing with all the states that were there. And then the other people. So every person that was identified is the best in that category. Academically, financially, or otherwise. They have built. The Pastor Tunde Bakare that received an award, he's a nation builder. He mentored. A lot of people follow him, listen to him, and he said it the way he says it. So our award is totally different. It's based on our national anthem and what we believe people are doing, and we want to celebrate them, and that's what we do.
Now, to say the least, you would have dual citizenship, that of the United Kingdom and, of course, Nigeria. Had there been times of clashes of identity that you needed to take a decision that was apt based on your nationality conviction? When you were confronted with such a situation, how did you manage it?
I think when I'm confronted with all the situations like that, if any, I behave like a Nigerian. So I start fighting. I start shouting that you do know who I am and all that kind of thing. Do you know if I pick the phone call now, I call somebody, they can deal with you and all that. So I behave like a Nigerian.
Like K.
Like
certainly
K,
not
right,
like
okay.
me.
So I want you to know.
Even from this interaction, you should know who will be in that side of between the two of us. Now, here in your profile here, you've been adjudged a symbol of hope, an icon, carrying the flag of Nigeria all over the place, wherever you go, Europe and other places there. And here is a country you said is a hard sell. What makes it this hard sell thing, apart from the usual possibly thinking that we are Africans and we are black, like Muhammad Ali said sometimes ago that someone told him that the blacks live on trees, and when he came to Nigeria, the cabin crew, they were all blacks. He came into a very beautiful environment in Lagos and he started saying a lot of things. As a black man, having met so many leaders up there who are white, what exactly is preventing us from making Nigeria a soft sell?
Information. It's so easy to sell, for example, Ogun State. It's so easy to sell, for example, Akwa Ibom State and all the states, right? Because you can see the information and you're able to verify the information.
Okay.
Nigeria as a nation, in order to sell hard, depend what are you trying to sell. If we're not saying we want people to come in and invest in Nigeria, and of course, companies, big-time companies do come to Nigeria. But you see, the smaller companies, your Nigerians individual can actually triple whatever these big companies are doing in Nigeria, because they're the one that don't have the financial security to hire all the extras that the big companies can hire. But they will bring in a lot of investment into the country. So that's the difference. So that information that is needed is not forthcoming. If you're not saying trade and investment, what are they? You're not saying that there are lands in some places, where are they? If you're not saying you want to sell the presidency, is the man in the presidency able to give you the information that you need? Tomorrow morning, even in a few hours' time, you find a different story coming up from Nigeria. Right? Where do you go to verify the story? Who do you call to verify the story? If they're not forthcoming because they don't want to contradict the story, is a different ball.
Okay.
Then you as the media person will be able to know how to adjust that story as well. Yeah? So people will call us on a daily basis. Is it true something just happened in Nigeria? Okay, fine, let's find out. Who do you call? You're supposed to call the people who deal with the presidency, for example, in the Public Affairs Department. Who should give you that information? If it is the likes of Dr. Ruben Abati, they should give you that information. Not treating other media who are sincerely there for the benefit of the nation as second-class and third-class citizens. Why then the so-called Western media that you keep accusing that they tarnishing the image are the people that you still go and talk to?
So
it doesn't make sense to me.
They still give perspective of
to that person,
opinion. Okay.
Right? But I have more Nigerians, more than the other mainstream TV station that they run to, because I am Nigerian. And my content would forever, majority be Nigerian than the mainstream station that you went to that just give you 5 minutes. But that 5 minutes, when they repeat it again and again, then you now start complaining that why are they tarnishing the reputation of Nigeria? The question is, the story they were carrying that is in that 30 seconds, is it true or is it lies? If they accuse you, check. If it is lie, then sue them. Give a typical example. Online organization says the president is among the top 10 African richest man or head of state. Okay? The organization could not verify that information. Our president's office nicely wrote to them, if you do not verify blah, blah, we're going to sue you. What happened? They withdraw a story. The online withdraw a story. That means the online could not verify what they were saying. And that's why they pull out. But all the rest organizations, how many have they sued? If the story they are carrying is fake. If this is the story they're carrying is lie, how many have they sued? How many have they threatened to sue? That's not even from that level, any level. So while we're struggling promoting Nigeria, but I guess if we carry the bad story, which is the true story, then maybe they'll call us and say, guys, why are you doing this? But it is a true story. And for us, that is the level that we're getting to in the team that we're recruiting. But as I said, there are things that you want to do, and there is a way to do them. So we want to follow the right way of doing anything that we think we want to handle.
Okay, time is really fast spent, but all the same, I'll still ask you this before we go. About a decade of broadcasting, I mean, by Ben TV, where will you want to see Ben TV in another decade ahead?
Probably when we started, I was thinking, okay, I want to see Ben Television next year, and and doing so and so. But over that decade that the backing, the support you think you're going to get is not forthcoming. So, sincerely speaking, I don't even think about next month. That's the truth.
That's
scary. I don't think about, but I have been saying that, but we have passed more than 10 years now. This is about 13 years of broadcast. And I guess we're still going, and we're still getting stronger.
The month gets to months,
yes,
and months, and months,
and then we keep rolling.
Okay,
and
so there's a hope. So
there's plenty of hope, and we'll do more for the benefit of Nigeria, for the benefit of Africa as a continent, and for the black people that we represent outside the core of Nigeria.
All right, viewers, our guest has been Alistair Soyode, the founder and CEO of the first ethnic and black satellite TV channel in Europe. And the past 1 hour or thereabout, we have been sharing his experience and seeking some information and knowledge from him. And I'm very sure you enjoy his company as we do here. I'm very sure, because hardly you see Shino, coming up with a very broad laugh, not even smile. But he has done that about 3 or 4 times on this program. Shino.
It's been a no-holds-barred session, and I must assure you that Nigerians have also enjoyed all your thought-provoking submissions this day. Alistair, thank you so much for your time. We wish you the very best.
Thank you very much.
Let me also thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time. In fact, just to quickly round up, we're having a Ben TV Award, another good one, on the 11th of December in Lagos.
In Lagos.
That would be nice.
Anyway, the first L was like...
Yeah,
but here in Lagos. That's good. We look forward to that.
Thank you.
All right. That's how it's going to be on today's edition of Hot Seat, coming to you from the stable of Ogtv, the People's Telly. And if you enjoy our presentation today, join us on the next edition of the program. We assure you that we'll always bring you quality guests on this program. Until then, Please stay blessed. Bye-bye for now.